Hello, everyone. IMS welcomes you all to the webinar series, the B School Insider, all you need to know about your dream school. And I'm your host, Kalyani, for this series. So today we will be focusing on IIFT, prep journey, campus life, academics, and placements. And in this, the key points that we will be discussing today are the prep journey, majorly about the personal interview and the selection criteria at IIFT, find out about the Delhi and Kolkata campuses, crucial features of the MBA International Business Program and how different is it from other B schools, why choose IIFT, placements, and more. So let's welcome our speakers today. We have Bhumika Mohan. She's from MBA International Business 2024 batch. She's from IIFT Delhi. We have Aparna Ranjit. She is MBA International Business 2024 batch from IIFT Kolkata. We have Ayush Sharma. He is MBA International Business 2024 IIFT Delhi. And we have Divyansh Sandwar. He is also MBA International Business 2021 batch from IIFT Delhi. And he is a product manager at Jio. Welcome all of you, and thank you so much for being here for this session. So let's start from the beginning. So obviously, as we all know, we are all aware of the fact that from 2023, IIFT will be accepting CAT. So we will be talking a little bit about, in your prep journey, we'll be focusing majorly on the personal interview and the selection process and all that, and the kind of experience you've all had during the IIFT calls. But of course, you all must have been preparing for CAT as well. So you guys can probably talk a little bit, like maybe, one or two tips on CAT prep, and then move to personal interview and selection process. Yeah, so we will start from Bhumika, then we'll go to Aparna, then Ayush, then Divyansh. Yeah, Bhumika.
Thank you, Kalyani, and welcome everyone. So yes, CAT is going to be held for you guys to enter IIFT this year, which I think is going to be better because you anyway are going to prepare for CAT, so you don't have to sit for one other exam. But I would say now, since in IIFT exam we used to have liberty to switch to sections and use to our strengths whatever subjects we were good at. So for example, my VA was strong while my quant wasn't as strong, so I used to spend maximum time doing VA. But for you guys, it's going to be focusing on each of the subjects and be equally good at all of them, but while still, deciding as to what is my strength so that you maximize your scores there. So strategy is not going to change as to how you prepare for CAT, but just being a little bit of, not really putting pressure on yourself, but just knowing that this will help me go to this place as well, will just lighten burdens for you. So I think a preparation strategy should still be to focus on the area of your strength and maximizing your sectional marks there, and then moving on to other sections and making sure that you pass in each of them, like you score a bare minimum, you don't not cross a section cutoff.
Yeah.
And that will be my advice.
Okay, yeah. And also, please tell us what was your educational background during the graduation, and also were you having work experience pre-MBA or were you a fresher? Yeah, Bhumika. And then all of you can please add those details as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Bhumika.
sorry to have skipped the introductions. I was so passionate about the question there. Now, I was a BCom honors graduate from Shahid Bhagat Singh College, Delhi University. I went on to pursue journalism, and I was a sub-editor at a newspaper company in Gurgaon, the Asian Chronicle. I came to IIFT. I sat for the Godrej Loud competition, and then I went to Godrej to for my internship. I interned as a marketing and innovation intern at GCPA.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, very different, fresh. Yeah, Aparna.
Thank you so much, Kalyani, and I welcome all of you who have joined the thing. So my name is Aparna Ranjit, of course, as Kalyani had mentioned, and I have a biotechnology background. So I did my BSc in biotechnology from Kerala, from the Calicut University, and post my biotechnology BSc, I worked at an edutech startup under the Kerala Startup Mission. It was a startup, and my role was a content development / marketing role. And post that, I had 2 years of work ex, after which I wrote my CAT, and then I wrote my FT exam. So like many of my peers and even over here, I did not have the preferred background or the experience that was required in order to ace CAT exam. So what I focused on, and similarly what my mentors then, when I was writing CAT, had asked me to focus on was the very first thing that you should do while preparing for CAT is write the mock test. As in, write the mock test and understand where you stand. Because just like Bhumika had said, I was very strong in verbals. So my verbal skills were good. My DILR was okay, but then my quant was pretty bad. So I understood that because I did give a mock test, and what I did was every single time I prepared for a month or so, I would keep giving mock tests in order to understand where my stand was, as it did it keep improving. And I also gave mock tests when there were scores of people who were writing the same mock test, and I could actually get real results, as in live results, compared to the number of people who were writing the same exam in India. So my suggestion to everyone who's listening to this is just ensure that the number of mock tests you give keeps increasing. The more mock tests you give, the more idea you would have on how well you would finally perform in the actual exam.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, Ayush.
Yeah, thank you, Kalyani. So as mentioned, my name is Ayush Sharma. So I have a background that I did bachelor's in physics from Subodh Rajasthan University, and I'm a fresher when I joined IIFT. So yes, as everyone, my CAT didn't go as well. So IIFT was an option for me, and then hopefully I cracked it. See, nobody has to worry about the now IIFT not taking their own exam and CAT happening. The only reason being that the syllabus remains same. Only the format of exam changed. So you don't have to worry. Just the syllabus which you have been focusing till now. Now is the last leg of you preparing for CAT examination. Focus on your strengths and then try to give mocks and spend a lot of time analyzing of what mistakes you are doing so as to not to repeat it. Now, for the second part of preparing for GDPI, well, that should happen after December.
We'll talk about that personal interview. Yeah, in the next question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If that will come in the next segment, don't fret about that much. For now, prepare for CAT examination and give your best.
Okay. So, yeah. Divyansh.
Yeah, hey, hello everyone. Thanks, Kalyani, for inviting me. And so basically, my name is Divyansh, and I actually was a batch of, I come from the IFT batch of 1921. That's how we used to introduce ourselves way back. And, I actually, during my time, IFT was actually conducted for the very last time on paper instead of being online. So it was a very different experience for me altogether, unlike all of the other, panelists out here. So my few pointers on your preparation would be that, when you're appearing for CAT, it's very important to manage your time, right? So each and every question need not require the same amount of time. And it's better to skip a particular question if you feel that you're giving too much time on it, right? It's not always necessary to go through a particular question. That's a mistake or an error that I made during my time, especially when I was appearing CAT way back in 2016. And that is when I realized that, okay, it's not always necessary to go through a particular question. You can very well skip it, move on to the next one. Probably if you're able to crack it, and that would be pretty much helpful in the next sections as well. So that is how you should actually move ahead with it, and be very specific with your preparation. Understand where your strengths lie, understand where your weaknesses are, work on your weaknesses a bit. Don't fret too much about your weaknesses. Not all the weaknesses are required to be, worked upon very diligently. Some of them you can skip, some of them you can factor in. And, for me, like I ensured it that, I need to continuously track on those previous year papers of the exams as well. So that really helps you, apart from appearing for the mock test, it's super critical that you look at what the question pattern was, how the exact paper looked like in the previous year, and that actually gives you a rough idea that, okay, how can you prepare around, or how can you strategize around your preparation. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and your undergraduation and your
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I completed my undergrad in from KIT University in the branch of electronics and electrical engineering. So I'm an engineer.
There is one engineer. I was just thinking, like, for a change, I have less engineers on my panel. And work experience. Yeah.
And after my engineering, I worked with Accenture for a period of 2 years, and post that I joined IIFT. And after IIFT, I was placed in a startup called Yellow.ai.
Yeah.
And then I shifted to
we'll talk about that during the placements bit. Yeah, and also okay, tell me something now that so Divyansh was quant your favorite in the CAT sections? Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that
Yeah,
quant must have
so
been. And yeah, what was it that you were struggling in? Because I think
uh,
maximum of our CAT 23 students would be struggling in that particular section.
so strangely enough, yes. I mean, Cones was the favorite part for me when I was appearing for the exams, and I genuinely struggled in the DI section.
Okay, yeah.
And the problem with me was that, you know, whenever I was appearing for the DI sets, the problem that I cited initially, right? It's not always necessary to get into a particular set and solve that through and through. Okay, you can very well solve one particular question from one particular set and then move on to the next set if you feel that you're getting confused somewhere, because, you know, if you get stuck in that particular set, there is a very high chance that you might miss the cutoff, and just because of that, your overall CAT gets affected at the end of the day.
Correct.
So that is something that I realized late, but then
Mhm.
that helped me during IIFT exams. So
Mhm.
thankfully enough, it worked for me. I believe I appeared CAT 3 times, so it was the third time that things worked out for me. So, you know, it's like you need to keep trying, but don't be as late as me. You can very well identify that area initially as well.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the personal interview and the selection criteria. So the selection process, maybe, and also, yeah, Aparna, is is it the same? Everything is same for selection process, interviews, and everything for Kolkata campus as well as just like in Delhi campus. How does it work? So maybe, Aparna, you can start with that. Then Ayush and then Bhumika. And Divyansh, you can just add in whatever. Yeah, just pitch in.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So, Kalyani, as for the question you asked, it is the same process as in it's one centralized process that happens for IIFT Delhi and IIFT Kolkata as well. And one final list as in is put out, which shortlist separate for Delhi and Kolkata. So the process is the same. After you finish the test, then you move on to the GDPI round, and then there is an extempore round. I think I'm not exactly sure how many colleges in India have an extempore round during the GDPI round. And post that, there is a personal interview. So for me, as in my personal experience, I did not have a GDPI round because at that time I think we had an extempore round for IIFT, and then it was a personal interview round. So in the extempore round, one thing that I want everyone to make sure before they even enter the extempore round is read the newspaper, because I remember specifically just before my extempore, I just ensured that I went through the newspaper for that day, and they specifically asked me a question which came up in the Hindu newspaper for that day. So I think that was the time when border incursions were happening in India, and then they specifically asked me what is my point of view about, as in what is my opinion about India doing business with China, and that exact question was asked in the newspaper for that very day, which I thankfully read the newspaper and then was able to answer very well in the extempore round. And after that, the personal interview was rounded around, as in it revolved around my work experience, because I worked in an edtech background, and at that time they asked me about the budgetary allocations by India, by the Indian government and the state government in education sector, etc. So, as in just like Bhumika said, there are a lot of people who come from varied backgrounds. Therefore, the panelists who took my interview also knew that, and they did not trouble me with asking questions which a person who comes from a varied background would have difficulty answering.
Okay.
So they take into consideration that you are from a varied background, and they would know that your strengths as of now would lie somewhere else, and therefore they just want to understand, are you cultural fit to the college from the background, from the background that you come in, and what is expected out of you to excel in your background, and how that will in turn help the campus as well in order to have someone who comes from a varied background.
Okay.
So again, as for the people listening to us, what I would say is, in the GDPI rounds, confidence really matters. How well you can articulate really matters, and also being in touch a little with what is going around you. Current affairs is a little important. So I think that covers it.
Okay. Okay. And yours was a online one, was it? Or in person? Online.
It was on. Yes.
So this time, is it going to be in person? This time, as in, next year.
So in my case, at least at that time was when the African support was still in place. So that time it was prudent to make it online.
Yeah. So, but when it's in person, Kolkata has these interviews in the Kolkata campus, or is it happening in Delhi itself?
I think there would be different as in venues all over India, maybe where you could go and take personalized interviews.
Yeah, so I'll just pitch in over here. So in my case, what happened is that, across India, we had multiple centers. So I appeared for my IIFT and CAT exams from Hyderabad, and there was a hotel that was booked in Hyderabad for me. And similarly, it was the same experience for people in Bangalore, other cities, right? So there are few certain major cities that they do ask you on which city will you be able to, appear for the process, given that if you're shortlisted. So I believe that I'm not sure how it went on online, to be very honest, but then yeah, this is how it went on for me.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah, Ayush.
Yeah, so for our time, the very first shortlisting was heavily relied on IIFT score because 73% criteria was that you get good IIFT score and you get in for the GDPI round. So yes, as Aparna said, that we didn't had any VAT or GD. Directly we started with exemplary for a minute or two, and then professor started with the PI. So every person who got shortlisted for the next round had to give these two rounds. The exemplary round was not eliminatory. So as already said by Aparna, having good GK knowledge around you really helps, because even if the topic is very vague, you can still give out points of what you have learned and what is going on around the world so that you can supplement your discussions with those particular points. So as many of the candidates here, I was too very anxious that how will my GDPI go and should I prepare about international business. So yes, I remember that for 1 month, I properly prepared about what international business is, strategies, international marketing and everything. Surprisingly, my GDPI was only about what application I wrote during IIFT. So that is very much important, that whatever you write in your application.
SOP, is it? SOP or the application?
So SOP is a part of the application which IIFT gives. That application has a lot of things. It judges about your extracurricular activities. It gives some questions to check your personalities and stuff. So my entire interview revolved around that. So you can't just give facts that, for example, if a GK question is asked to me, I just can't say that Russia-Ukraine, what is happening. They will ask you questions that if you have really a good understanding, a deep down understanding of what the topic is all around and what is your opinion around that topic. So that was one thing which was asked during my GDPI. And the professors were very apt and they knew that which candidate to take or not. They had a quite understanding of you can't fool around and say that we know this and we don't know that. So, but then again, as I said, don't fret about GDPI for now. Please prepare for your CAT examination, give your other examinations in December, and then start the full-fledged preparation for GDPI from January.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay. And since you were a fresher, maybe that's why, they were asking more about more from,
no, so actually it's very, it actually depends on the, it actually depends on the panel. I had a talk with another WorkX person. So a person had a chemistry background and the professor only asked him about chemistry concepts. And for other people, it was statistics or international business. So basically, they're just judging about your capability as a person, and in which you are strong. They will just judge your capability in that particular domain.
Okay. Yeah, Bhumika.
Yeah. So, guys, unlike Ayush, I did not dedicate 1 month separately to news and all of that. I kept it going with my preparation throughout CAT and other exams that I wrote. This was because I knew that at some point or the other, I'm supposed to write VAT or appear for a GD or PI. All of these require me to be able to speak about things which are not level 1. I don't just want to speak about things on surface level. I'll dig deeper into details. I'll give you more content than anybody else on the table can give. And this will take you far, not only until you reach your MBA, but also later when you try to convert companies and sit for your placements. So my method was to, whenever after the, classes 8 to 10 or whatever we used to have, I would sit, and whenever I'm having dinner, I used to have dinner, I would just switch on the news channel for the students that prepare for UPSC or SSC. And I'd watch their news bullets that the professors would have made and keep a screenshot of it in one folder. Later, even coaching centers give the, booklets for revising whatever happened throughout the year. So that was my way. It never put pressure on me. I never felt like I was weak with news. I never felt like I couldn't handle some big geopolitical topic or any trade related topic that would come to me, at least for what is expected of an outsider who has not yet entered IIFT. So there's only so much that we expect from you to know before you come here. Only after coming here, it's important that they choose the right person who is interested into studying so much of trade, documentation, we have so many trade related subjects. We study international marketing, international finance. We study logistics, trade, documentation, we study agri-commodity. There's a lot going on in here. Are you the right person to deserve a seat where somebody, if it were not you, would enjoy these subjects, right? So this is important for you also to understand why news and current affairs and geopolitics should be a part of your journey and should not be imposed upon you for only a period of time. So my interview revolved around my shift from journalism to MBA, which is rightly so an important topic to be discussed. So I think my interview was very heart-to-heart discussion, very passion-based discussion, and it was a lot about what has my life been about, what do I want it to be about. So it was not very technical, it was not very jargony, nothing that I could not face. I was not good at everything that I answered, of course. I had to skip questions as well, and it is completely fine. But wherever my extemporary topic was electric vehicles and the future that I see for EVs in India, I was able to talk about a recent conference that had taken place. So the professors that were seated were, I think, quite impressed there.
So your tip would be like, you just keep preparing it on the side. As in basically, of course, it makes sense if you're going for international business, you should have some inclination towards it to begin with. Instead of just, correct. Yeah, but tell me, when you were writing the SOP, application form and all that, and during that, is there any tip that you would like to give?
So that is mostly them understanding your life, but I think every question is an opportunity. So there are HR questions like, when were you most proud of yourself? When did you use creativity? When, what do you think was the time when you had too much on your plate? A lot of questions that are trying to understand your time management, your stress level, how do you handle pressure? What has been hardest for you? What has been easiest for you? So I think each question, there is an opportunity for you to, give them something to speak about in your interview. Think about this, if they had to read only one line from that SOP, it should be impactful. They should be able to keep their hand on any sentence and they should be like, let's talk about this sentence. Why did you write it? Why do you think this impacted your life? So I had spent a lot of iterations, a lot of time, so much so that by the night, I was so frustrated that I didn't want to do it anymore. I had gotten it wet from 7 seniors and sat with, my dad and all of these people. I don't know. I was just so anxious to not lose an opportunity like this. So make the best use of having gotten some space in front of these professors.
Right. Okay, Divyansh.
Yeah, so as rightly mentioned by Bhumika and other panelists as well, that your SOP form is super critical, and the entire application form also, in my case, took me at least, I believe, a couple of days or so. I actually had to take leave from my work because I was that anxious at that point of time, because there were many questions where obviously you can keep on writing about things that you did, things about that you are proud of, maybe in your college or maybe while you're at work, but then there is not that much space out there, right? It's like you have 100 words in which you need to complete the form, and then you need to be very specific about what you're writing out there. So just one point over here was that in my case, unlike the other panelists, it was a WAT and then we had a group discussion as well, right? And in my case, when I went in for the PI round, so in my PI, they were very specific about one particular question that I had mentioned in the form, that was around what was one major event that happened in the last 6 months with respect to the world economy, which affected the world as a whole. So at that point of time, I talk about the defense deal that India had signed with Russia regarding the shipment of land to air based missile systems, and they grilled me there. They asked me in and out around what did I know about it, why do you think that it's the right way, how do you exactly envision India coming at the forefront of things, and things like that. So I mean, when the panelists mentioned this, that okay, you need to be very specific about your form, be very specific about it, right? There is absolutely no second or half-hearted measures that you should actually take on that, because you never know, anything might come up. Like Ayush mentioned, people are asking questions around chemistry and then physics, right? So but then the physics or the chemistry question happened to a guy with a work, so it's not consistent behavior that you see across. Depends totally on the panelist, and obviously whatever you're mentioning on the form, whatever you're mentioning on your CV, that it actually is a reflection of what you are as a person, and they are actually going to gauge you on top of it. So it's better to be very clear about what you're writing there, Don't make up stuff which you think you won't be able to defend at the end of the day. So don't be proud of something that you're not proud of originally.
Yeah. Okay. There is a question that Bhumika is already answering. How to tailor one's resume when one has gap years? Are there? What was the full question? It is gone.
Oops. So it just asked if gap years.
I found it. Yeah. How to tailor one's resume when one has gap years? Are there opportunities and assistance in the IIFT environment? Yeah, who would like to answer? Maybe Aparna, you can take this question, and Bhumika, you can answer as well. Yeah, you can just pitch in.
All right, thank you, Kalyani. So as far as gap years were concerned, I had a few batchmates over here who had gap years as well, and it is true that gap years over here in your CV or part of your profile does raise questions, as in your panelists could raise questions. Furthermore, even when you sit for your placements, the HRs of companies could raise questions.
Yeah.
So what I helped my batchmates as well to cover up this was internships. You could do internships, or if you've done any specific courses, extracurriculars, or if you have spent time doing certification courses, specifically internships or any NGO work experience that you've had, which you specifically dedicated into doing in those how many ever years of gap years that you have. I think those can be added because unless it's a gap year that you've done absolutely nothing over there, then there is nothing that you can do, and then you just need to substantiate with an example where you spent that time doing something which you could not later on achieve. But what I would suggest is, if you've done any internships, if you've done any courses, or if you've spent that time volunteering somewhere, or if you've worked with an NGO, if you've partnered with some other organization, or if you've spent that time preparing for something else, or if you're still preparing for something like that, then substantiating those work ex gaps with pointers like this would eventually help.
Okay.
I think MBA preparation journey is also your self-confidence journey, right? If there's anything that that has happened to you, and if you can't change it, you should not think about it. This will be the last step in an interview if it may be asked, and thinking about it, even worrying about it, I understand it's very normal. It makes people anxious. It is a genuine doubt because you're working hard for it. You will be worried about what can stop me. But I would tell you that there are people in my batch who have had 4 years of gap year, 3 years of gap years, because they were either preparing for UPSC or some SSC or some competitive exam. But when they were asked about it in their interviews, they did tell them. I mentioned in the answer also, even if you fail, if you were working on something, you should be confident about yourself. I put my time, energy, effort, and money into spending that time on something. It did not yield results, but I am here because something else yielded results, right? It should not impact your self-confidence. You should not carry yourself any less than anybody who does not have a gap year, or is a fresher, has done 10 things, is a 999. All of these things are secondary. They come after you've cracked a good exam, after you have appeared for a good extempore and good GDPI. In the PI at last step, are you going to be?
Okay. Yeah, there's a question that I have bad 10th and 12th scores, but scored 8 CGPA in graduation, and I have 2+ years of work experience now. Can I clear the first round and get to the GDPI round? So yeah, of course, after CAT, then of course, the next step. But yeah, so is it, so what's the weightage like at IIFT for graduation and 10th and 12th and all that? And of course, the CAT, let's not talk about it because we still don't know what it would be like. But how much weightage is there for that, for somebody, with a 10 and 12, which is not that good, but work experience and otherwise a great resume? Who can answer?
As much as I remember, 45% weightage at our time was for IIFT score, then 40% for GDPI, and then the rest marks were split between 10th, 12th, and WorkX. That was true for our time, but we are not sure that what criteria will be chosen by institute this time. So just don't fret upon this aspect for now. Try to score as much as grades you can for CAT examination and do good in GDPI. So ultimately, you'll have a higher chances to convert IIF.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about the academics now. So in academics, of course, first of all, most importantly, IIFT offers MBA in international business. So how different is the international business program from the other, other programs that are available in and that are offered by the other top B schools. So maybe Aparna and Ayush, you guys can take it in parts. Bhumika, you can pitch in, and Divyan, you can also pitch in. Yeah. Aparna, you start, then Ayush.
All right.
Yeah.
So there are two things which I'd like to point out when I speak about academics in IIFT, which is our focus on the international perspectives of all the subjects that we study. For example, before Divyansh and Bhumika had already mentioned, people do study finance, but we also study international finance. We study marketing management in the first trimester, but we also study international marketing management later.
And so you guys are studying more. Is it how it is? I mean, like a general management in IIM, ABC.
Okay, I wouldn't want to say that I'm studying more than people in IIMR. I do not want to make that sort of comparison between different B schools. But what I'm saying is there is a perspective into the subjects.
And plus, you also have to study the global aspect of everything.
Exactly. So let's just look at it as a perspective. Now we are studying about finance, but what about the international perspective? Similarly, what about the international perspective of management? What about international strategy? So these are the specific subjects which have been added in our academic cohort as well, and also our focus on trade subjects. Now, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, of course, we have subjects which are trade related. So, like Bhumika had already mentioned, we have ITOD, which is international trade and documentation, sourcing. We have logistics. So we have a lot of trade related subjects as well. In addition to all the general subjects that would be covered in any MBA institution. So I just don't want people to apply for IIFT to be confused by international business, where international business does not mean that we will not cover the subjects that will be covered in any other PGDM course or any other MBA courses that are covered in other MBA institutions in India. There is just a few more perspectives that should be added, such as the international perspective and also the trade perspective.
Okay. Yeah. Ayush?
So I was just so I was just reading this question wherein
also you can also talk about the electives, when, what, how, what are the subjects, how do you select, are there biddings, did you select some, you leave some out, and there are some people do have this misconception that if there are job opportunities for a person pursuing MBA in international business, because they think that's a different program altogether and not the MBA. So can you just throw some light on that as well?
So before answering that question, I just read a question wherein the person said that he's not from this background of BCom, so will he be able to cope up with the studies? See, me specifically was from physics background, and when I was thrown into IIFT, I didn't even know what balance sheet was unless I came to the institute itself. So you don't have to worry about you not coming from a background which is not a commerce background. Everything will be sorted once you enter the institute, because we have world-class professors for all the domains, be it from accounting, finance, and then trade, as already mentioned by Aparna. So to your question, actually for first 2 trimesters, we have common subjects across batch. So everybody will study the same subjects for those 2 trimesters. After that, we have to choose electives. So there are a whole lot of electives which are being offered to a batch, and then people choose. And then there are some subjects which are opened according to the percentage of people who have chosen those particular electives. Every elective can't be open. For example, if 2 people have chosen an elective, obviously it can't be open. There has to be a substantial amount of students who have to opt for a particular elective. And now we have electives from all domains, be it supply chain, IT, of course, trade. So I'm doing my minors in trade. We have a lot of subjects from global compliance to agri-commodity training, sectoral strategy of exports. So these are basically domains which you choose from, and then you do majors or minors according to your interest. And then from per trimesters, you only attend classes of your electives and then some core courses which you do. So this is for the electives part and the academics part.
I would just like to quickly tell that IIFT indeed is a college that has maximum number of courses in MBA in whatever, across all of the B schools in India. We study more than 52 subjects. It keeps changing year to year because some keeps getting added and some gets removed. And I had read this somewhere at a blog post by Inside IIM or something as well. The point here is that it is a very academically driven college. The professors are people who take research very seriously. We do a dissertation project where we, as part of our curriculum, it's a 3-credit course where we research with a professor for 5 months, and then we bring a document into life, which they get published in, which they have the capacity to get published in international journals as well. And then your work will stay on global platform forever. If a college gives you that kind of an opportunity, they do expect you to be ready to be able to do that research by the end of your tenure here. So it is rigorous. It's not going to be a very chill college. We are writing 10, 12 exams, sometimes 12 exams every 3 months, it's not easy just because a chill life is being portrayed all the time. We're always working, but then you learn your ways to, sometimes just do it out of the way, sometimes do it with your friends, your seniors take your KT, your friends take your KT, you kind of understand it from here and there. You find your way. Sometimes you have the system, sometimes you just being a student, right? So all of that does.
Okay. Yeah, Aparna, are the students, are the faculty same at IIFT Kolkata and IIFT Delhi?
So we have a few common faculty as well who keep traveling from the Delhi campus to the Kolkata campus.
Okay.
And we have some faculty which are specific just to Kolkata and to Delhi. And as far as electives are concerned, we do have a lot of common faculty who keep moving from both the campuses now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Divyansh, yeah.
Yeah, so just one point over here, though yes, we are quite an academically driven institute, we also have a tremendous opportunity when it comes to life projects. So, those are the super exciting part of the academic side of it. I mean, why do I say it exciting? Because you see the real life case studies being solved with the professors, right? So it's not like that they've just thrown you in the water and then you navigate yourself through it. They'll guide you, they'll assist you. We personally, at least in my time, we had the opportunity to work with our trade, professor. His name is Dr. Rakesh Mohan Joshi. You guys can search him. He is a super cool professor. He taught us international marketing management, at least during my time. Not sure how things are as of right now. People will add here. But then, he guided us, and there was a particular case study. I cannot cite it over here, but then, yeah, we worked alongside him, and it took us almost 2.5 weeks, to just complete what I'll say was adding, I believe, 3 to 4 pages to his overall report. So you can understand the kind of impact that it was creating. Even in those 3-4 pages, we got to learn. I mean, I can't just define it, with respect to what I was being showcased or what we were studying in class. It was a very different experience altogether. So those experiences will also come in. So it's not just about that, you just need to study about a particular subject, but then you will have these experiences along the cycle as well. And the same thing will happen in trade as well. So trade, to all the attendees, is a super cool and a super exciting subject to navigate about. So I'm an engineer, right? And what happens being an engineer is that there are a lot of typecasts that come into it. But then let me tell you that I was not very good with finance. Like I mentioned, clueless around balance sheets and what to do with the P&L and things like that. Understood that, okay, this very well is not the right place for me. So I completed my majors in marketing, minors in trade, and then I took another minor in IT. So that is how things were for me. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I also want to mention quickly about the port visit that we have at IIFT. So we get to visit a port of our choice, depending on a variety of factors. But then we get to go international ports. This year we have a big portfolio of ports that we will be able to go to. So each one of us get to go understand everything that happens there. Meet managers, talk about anything that you want to talk about, understand, and then make a report about it. And we come back having well researched with respect to that.
Very nice. Yeah. So let's talk about is there a foreign exchange program as well? How does it work? Is it bidding again? How do you get selected? Also, we'll talk about the clubs and committees also after that. So yeah, who would like to talk about the
I think Aparna should go ahead.
Yeah, Aparna. Okay.
I'd like to talk about this because I personally went for student exchange this year. So I went to France. I studied in ISEG School of Management in France. Student exchange, I would say, was one of the best things that has ever happened to me once I joined IIFT, because there are at least 20 to 25 institutes that open, universities abroad that open for IIFT every year. And there are around 50 to 70 people who get the opportunity to go abroad. This is consolidated for both IIFT Delhi and IIFT Kolkata, as in it's a common list. Now, the selection process is, again, because for foreign universities, SOPs are very important. There is an SOP process, and it's going to be a CV and SOP based selection, post which you will have your interview process. Now, the CV process is eliminatory, and the interview process again is for the final selection, of course. Now, why I say that student exchange was the best part was because from applying for your visa from applying for my visa to planning an international travel, it has given me so much. It has enriched my knowledge levels like so much. Like I cannot even compare the amount of learnings that I've had going for SAP than I would have ever had over here. I was able to cover 15 countries in my 3 months abroad in Europe. I was also fortunate enough to get the Chapter Scholarship, which is again a scholarship that is given to Indian students by the French Embassy, which covers your expenses and has 860 euros given to you every month, if I'm right. Yeah, it was 860. It was 700 euros at my time, and it's 860 at this time. And all the universities that we go to are all they have AAA rating, they have triple star ratings, and then they are all AISCB accredited. So and then we have amazing universities such as Hanken University in Finland, which is one of the top 50 universities in the world for MBA. Similarly, the university which I went to, ISEG, is the top 10 universities in France for MBA. So we have top-notch institutions all throughout Europe, all throughout USA. We have universities in South America as well, and then we also have a few Asian universities such as Korea, Indonesia, etc. So student exchange is amazing. Student exchange is specifically for IIFT because it is already an international institute of foreign trade, and they have amazing relationships with universities abroad. The kind of universities that are open for student exchange are also top notch. So this is my as an input for student exchange.
Okay, tell me something. There are a few questions about GDPI. I will take one or two questions before we go to clubs and committees. So I'll take this one question which I saw about GDPI. What holds greater importance during GDPI? Fluency in language or the ability to convey ideas effectively, even if language fluency is lacking? Yeah. Who would like to answer? Ayush or Divyansh, would you like to take this question? Either two? Yeah, Ayush, yeah?
Ayush,
yeah, Divyansh.
Okay. Okay, so yes, see, fluency does play a role. I won't say that it won't play a role itself. Obviously, when you're fluent enough, you are able to give your thoughts properly to the panelists. But then having said that, you have to be sure about the things which you are saying. Even if you are not fluent, but you have good points which you are stating in front of a panelist, I'm sure that they will not think much about what the fluency of the language is. But if your points are strong enough to be put on the table, that will really help you crack the interview.
Okay. Yeah, Divyansh?
Yeah. So it's always really good to, back your answer up with a bit of facts. So if you do have facts, in your kitty, then rest assured, fluency will definitely play a role, but then facts play a bigger role there, right? So it's better to be very thorough, like the panelists have been, pointing out since the very start of the session that go ahead, read newspapers, learn about the current affairs, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the global economy and everything like that. Like, for example, right now we have had a G20 summit that was conducted, right? So you should definitely know about the number of countries, representatives that came in, though it's named G20, but then a 21st was also added, right? So you should know that how many nations are added as a part of the African Union. So it's always better to have those numbers in the back of your head. And that will only happen if you have been very consistent with your preparation. It's not that you go and you read in one single day and then things start clicking there on the back of your head. So better to be very consistent with your preparation. Watch a bit of news, or either read your newspapers, and that should be good enough for you to get through.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the clubs and committees. I already know Aparna is part of the student council.
I can take that one.
Yeah, Bhumika.
Yes. So,
what all are the different clubs and committees? Do you really have to be a member of one, or do you choose if somebody chooses not to be part of any? Is it
Yeah.
fine?
So we are a very, very active college on extracurricular front, on parties front, on anything under the sun that any student here would want. We keep incorporating, and there's not at all any barrier from admin in ways where you can't pursue something.
Okay.
We didn't have a doodling or like a drawing kind of a thing when we first came, but then we incorporated a special interest group on our batch decision. We just came up with something and we're like, let's form a committee, not like a committee, but a group initially. If it does well, we'll take this forward. So currently we have 19 at Delhi. So I'll let Aparna speak a little bit for her campus. And we have everything, like talk about marketing, economics, finance, BLASH, the IIFT, Delhi's trade club, which brings a lot of live project opportunities. We keep conducting quizzes, we keep conducting, events. We have International Business Conclave, which is trade winds, where we have a lot of panelists coming in from across the world sometimes, and especially India, where we have panel discussions with CEOs, company, executives, VPs, IIFT alums most of the times, and it's always a delight to be part of these, programs. And we had a national advertising conclave, the picture for which I will flash at the end of the event. But that was also an incredible experience. It was conducted by a marketing club, a Brandwagon. I was the member of the literary cell last year, where we conduct, take care of all the literacy activities, poetry, debates, speaking, any kind of expression that you would want to. And there's Melange, which is our cultural committee, which takes care of all kinds of parties, every single function, be it Garba nights, Diwali, Holi, talk about Pongal, whatever you may want to. There's a hostel and mess committee that takes care of the hostel facilities, takes care of, whatever, any issues that you may have. So I think because IIT is a government college, and it is indeed a bureaucratic institution where, decisions go to the government, they come back, they take time, and it's you kind of learn to function among them. But on the student front, admin does not interfere at all. It's 100% student driven club council and committee initiative, and it has been going on for so long. It makes campus so lively, so fun. Just such a blessing to be here when the campus is loud and sporty and we're all out.
Are you sure part of which clubs and committees?
So actually, I'm a part of a committee which falls under CRPD, which is Corporate Relations and Placement Division. They have two committees. One is the Placement Committee, and second is Information Management and Corporate Communication Committee. So we are in charge of designing and sending all the documents across to various corporates, and then verifying CV pointers for the juniors. So that is our work. So I'm a part of that committee.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Divyansh, you are?
So I was a part of Melange for both the years. So like Bhumika mentioned, we were considered to be the heart and soul of the campus with respect to parties. And across the 2 years, so yeah, during my second year, it was mostly online. So but then in the first year, starting from freshers to reverse freshers to Garba nights, and then Matki Ford, and then Holy Holy celebrations pictures, which obviously can
most of all the fest.
So, and obviously the flagship fest. Then we have Kovadi. So it was amazing, and during our time we had some really good people coming in. We had Anubhav Singh Bassi, and then we had Nishant Suri at that point of time. We had Bani Dayal. So it's crazy. At least when it comes to the parties, when it comes to the celebration. So it's like we work hard and we party harder. It's a very cliched slogan, but then that definitely applies to our campus. And goes for the same, I believe Aparna will shed some light there. But then I did have a really good amount of friends in IIFT Calcutta as well. One with whom I was very closely, preparing for IIFT, we met, and we were from the same undergrad college. So it's the same amount of passion on both the sides, and we keep on, visiting each other's campuses for certain events. So things are really lively. Aparna, you can shed some light on Calcutta.
Yes, so I think Divyansh, Bhumika, and Ayush have covered as to how lively the clubs and committees make both of the campuses. But then just to get into specifics, IIFT Kolkata as of now has 20, including the club cells and committees. So we have 9 clubs, 8 committees, and 8 clubs. I'm sorry, we have 8 clubs, we have 9 cells, and we have 5 committees. Now, and the best part about IFT is that you can pitch in any idea. As in, for example, now I was a part of the CSC, which is called the Corporate Support Committee, which comes under the Placement Committee, the one that Ayush is working under right now. And we acted as a bridge between the placement committee and the batch of 24, as in my batch. But then since I went for student exchange, we did not have the opportunity to apply for another club seller committee the second year. But because I came back and I didn't want to sit idle, what I decided was, because I've been to student exchange, why not just pitch for an international relations committee? Now, in a few days, I might have a discussion with our program director and our campus head as well, in order to make the club a reality. So the best part about the clubs and committees and the opportunity of having a new club and committee in Kolkata is that, or in IFT, as in specifically IFT, is that you can start a club seller committee if you have a valid proposal, if you are passionate enough, and if you show the initiative drive, and if the people, the decision makers over here can identify that. And similarly, adding on to the various events, we have our flagship business summit event called Vivan, Pragati, Arthashastra, and similarly, recently, the Equity Research Club over here started a student investment fund, which not a lot of campuses in the world have. So that is one thing that I would like to add in the portfolio of the clubs, cells, and committees for Kolkata.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, there's we'll talk about the internship and placements very quickly. There's one question about, I have 2 years of work ex in freelance content and blog writing, but I used to do it anonymously ghost writing, I think. So I don't have any valid proof to justify my work ex. So will it be right call to add it to my resume? Who can answer? Maybe Bhumika and Aparna, one of you can answer.
I think that's for later. I mean, if you're preparing for CAT right now, these are not the kind of questions that you should focus your time, energy, and effort on, because we'll be able to, I mean, if you don't have certificate for it, maybe speak to somebody who can arrange for some sort of proof, because you do actually need to back what you have done, right?
Like an experience letter sort of a thing, like so-and-so person wrote.
So yeah, don't think about that right now. If you've worked, you will find a way to get something.
So I'll just add on one point over here. So there was my roommate who himself was a freelancer for a period of almost 5 years, and he did have that difficulty while going through the IMCC committee to verify his CV. There were certain pointers where obviously he did not have the proof of. So what worked for him was that he did have the work. Right, if he was citing about a particular work, if it's a content that you have created, you will have that content ready, right? I mean, you cannot be that naive that you did not save it somewhere. So if you do that, then there's no helping you. But then at least if you have that content with you, then that essentially means that you did work around it. So that should be more than enough, in that scenario.
Yeah, and I have a website on Wix, and I also have more than 40 articles written on Medium in general. That was also freelance work, but I just showed what I have on the internet, right? That also works.
Exactly, yeah. Have a WordPress or some page where you can keep putting your work. Well, right now, then maybe you'll have a substantial something to show in case. Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about the internships and placements. So internship, maybe Ayush, you can talk about the internship process and your experience, and then Bhumika and Aparna, you can talk about the internship bit from the Kolkata campus perspective, and Bhumika, you can just pitch in. Divyansh, I'll talk about placements. I'll ask you about the placement bit. Yeah.
So yeah, the SIP process or the internship process starts from July or August itself, and it goes on till November or December. So the process basically remains the same as you went through while coming to IIFT. You write an application or you submit your CV, and then there is a shortlisting done. And then after that, you sit for a GD, and then a PI happens. And then we have all the companies from all good domains you talk, and we have the company visiting our campus. I particularly interned at Tata Consumer Products Limited, and I worked in general trades. So I worked in Lucknow and parts of Uttar Pradesh. So I visited 69 towns in the central and eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. So my work was basically general trades and to enhance the business of the company while having infrastructure development done for the company side. So I had a great experience there. And see, once you enter this institute, right, it gives you a lot of confidence in yourself. And when such a big company itself treats you like a very valuable asset, you feel more confident about your skills. So yes, once you come in the campus, you will sit through the internship process and hopefully you'll get into a good company. that is what the process looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Divyansh, can you talk about the placement process very briefly, but your own experience, your placement experience? Was it a PPO?
No, it was not a PPO
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
case
So
of,
yeah. So
yeah.
you can talk about the placement process, your experience. Yeah.
Sure. So in my case, I completed my summer internship from Shell. Though Shell is used to giving PPOs, but then given due to COVID, they did not release a PPO for the entire
Okay.
batch
Okay.
within India. There was a batch of 40 people, and none of us received that. But then yes, in the finals, it's almost similar to that of the summer internships only. Nothing new about it. But then just that there might be instances that the number of rounds might increase, so there might be a couple of more PI rounds that happens for certain companies, obviously. And then, the only major difference between summers and finals is that in finals, they will definitely ask about what you did in your summer internships. And you should be very thorough with what you did. Try to, talk about certain achievements, even if you feel that they're not as good as you might want it to be, but then you should definitely talk about it because they essentially speak volumes about what you try to achieve in that given limited span of time because it's either 2 or 3 months here. So it's not a very humongous amount of time that you have, but then that definitely adds on. In my case, the placement started in the month of, I believe, later half of November and continued on till Jan because the most of the processes were happening online. And obviously, like I told you, that it was a COVID struck placement that we had during our time. But then for our seniors, it was over, I believe, in almost a month, the final placements, mostly if you take on, if you add on all the other processes, because there were a lot of case study competitions and a lot of pre placement talks and all of that. So, and any more points that you want me to add, Kalani?
No. So, how exactly was your placement experience? As in, the yellow dot
Yeah, so
II.
they,
How
so
did
they
you
were,
happen? Yeah. So
yes.
yeah.
In my case, obviously there are multiple processes that will happen on the same day. I'm sorry, there was a bill that was wrong, so please avoid that. Yeah, in my case, there were multiple processes on the same day. I had almost 3 to 4 processes that were going on, and it's like obviously you get out of one process, and then the placement committee very efficiently handles that transition for you, so that you need not get stuck in one particular process and then you miss the opportunity to appear for the another one. So that from that angle, there will be multiple processes that will happen on the same day. You'll get to appear for multiple GDs, PIs, and in my case, when I talk about Yellow AI, they had a first they started off with a GD, obviously after shortlisting. The GD went on for, I believe, 40 to 45 minutes because there were almost 9 to 10 people who had joined alongside us, and then after that, there was 4 rounds of PI that I had to go through. The final one was just an obligation round, but then the first 3 included the first round was a bit of a technical round. It was mostly around my summers. The second was more about how do I, fit myself to the culture of Yellow AI and whether I was a cultural fit or not. So you can tell it to be a bit HRish. The third one was with the CEO, and he asked some questions around what my academics were and things like that, and then eventually the final round was just to convey that okay, I've been selected, and they asked me like will I be comfortable in joining from this and this location or not. So that is how it was.
Okay, tell me something, Aparna. You want to add something for the internship? Is it the same process? I'm sure how Ayush mentioned the internship process, that must be the same process.
Yes, the process is the same because we have the placement committee, as in it's one single committee both for IIT Delhi and IIT Kolkata. It is divided into 2 as an equal number of people are part of the placement committee from Kolkata and Delhi. So the process is same for both of us. The only difference, as in 2 things that I'd like to add over here is during my time, during my summer internship at least. Oh, by the way, I interned at Mars Incorporated and I worked in the pet care division. It was a sales role. So I got to travel all over India, and it's amazing to work in companies like Mars because fully paid, you get to visit multiple cities, and the learning experience is great. Now, moving on to the points that I wanted to add during my time at least, because again, COVID repercussions were there. most of the processes were held online, but then otherwise, students from Kolkata don't need to travel to Delhi, while some processes do not need that. And the second thing that I want to mention was if you are looking into getting into good companies, and there are also case competitions. There are a huge number of case competitions which are open to campuses all over India, and which are also great avenues in order to secure a as if for internship or for the finals based on your performance.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes, so,
Yeah.
I'll-
Bhumika.
I'd like to add, like, unlike everyone, I did not sit for like the process. I cracked the company that I cracked through the competition. So there are a lot of case competition opportunities at IIFT where we contest against fellow or other tier 1 colleges in India. So I sat for Godrej Loud, which is a B school competition. I was the national winner for the same last year. So I got an opportunity to interview and then got placed through that at my company. And like everyone, I had an incredible experience. I worked on that for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's look at some photos from the campus. Yeah, that's the campus.
This is the Kolkata campus. So the Kolkata campus is spread around 7 acres, and we have the girls' hostel and the boys' hostel inside the campus. We have the acad block where our classes take place. We have the admin block. Then we have a gymnasium, the mess. We have 3 lakes within the campus itself. And this is how the front gate looks like in Kolkata. Some really nice photos. These are from the hostels.
There are 3 lakes with wow, that's so nice.
Yes, yes, yeah. The one that you see right now is the main lake, which is in front of the admin block. That is the academic block where we have our classes.
Very nice.
We have a small Nescafe where we go to have snacks. So some of the really good photos.
This is from Diwali. This is us with our senior batch. This was the freshers party for our batch. Now we have had it for the junior batch as well as they've recently come. So as Divyansh is happy because Milanj conducted it. So everything is actually from Milanj's Instagram page. Yeah, this was Holi. Our seniors Holi actually. This is us studying at night. This is my Instagram stories. I just downloaded it from there. You know, just doing competitions or something. This is our auditorium. So
auditorium.
Yeah, this was us after like some kind of a guest lecture or something. This is from Tradewinds, the International Business Conclave. This is a picture that I clicked at night. The campus looks lit. So this is just one big admin block. This is this was one of the events that we conducted for Litcell. This was the debate. And this is from CAR, which is the Grand Alumni Reunion, which happens every year where we have all of the alums coming in. So they had made a very pretty board. This was the National Advertising Conclave that I was speaking about. This professor had come from Bennett University. So she gave all of us a rose while she left. So this is a very pretty picture. This was Holi, campus Holi. And this was our badges picture while we signed out from first.
All right, great. Yeah, okay. So before we wrap up, there was one question. I really like that question. I just want somebody to answer. Yeah, what should be the mindset before getting in IIFT so that I can take the full advantage of this MBA degree? Who would like to answer? Who would like to answer? Ayush, would you like to answer? Okay, Bhumika, yeah.
I mean, Ayush
you can take it, and then Bhumika, you can pitch in. Yeah.
See, you can go through the various courses, and that is available on the IIFT's website to just, ignite your curiosity about the courses. So you can have some YouTube videos seen of just the basics part of it. You don't have to study everything beforehand, because then what will you do on the campus? So, and obviously you can't do everything beforehand. So that is why you can have a layered structure to it, and just be open to the learning part of it, because more of what you learn in the campus, in the classroom itself, a lot of things will happen outside the classrooms. So as was already mentioned by by Bhumika about the project report part, which is a very important aspect of our academies. And then obviously port visits and case competitions. So you'll be learning a lot. So have that mindset that you are going to have 2 years of your life where the learning curve of your life will be so steep that after the MBA ends, you will actually have that gratitude of what you learned in these years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Ayush's answer is going to be very different because this person is a very academically driven
Okay.
person. He makes notes of all classes. He is the person I go to study before exams. So
Okay.
don't really be boggled by the kind of information he has given. I never went to the website to study.
Okay.
I'm a very extracurricular driven person
Yeah.
and did not see, be genuinely interested in what you're doing. Of course, if you are applying for IIFT, if you're filling that form, you must know what you're entering into. That's going to be your life, your parents' money, you will always have that IB, in front of you. So if you cannot stand logistics, if you cannot stand sourcing, what's happening on in the globe, if you want to study a niche, say supply chain, or a niche, say HR or something, maybe this probably won't be the right place to fit for you. So for me, I would say this journey is more important because I still think that the kind of efforts, energy, and mental strength that I built during my CAT prep journey is far more than what I have built during my time at MBA, but it's different for different people. I did not go through the very rigorous process of placements again, so it can be different. But for me, that CAT prep journey prepared me to be able to speak here like this, to be able to own myself with confidence, to just be the person I am today. So this is your journey, this path. You need to have faith in who you're becoming through this. This is more important than entering an MBA. The journey to it.
Yeah, Divyansh, there's a question. How likely is your internship gets converted into a job? Could you suggest us if there is anything extra we can do to get an edge over others?
That is nice. Get edge over others. Okay. So there's absolutely nothing that you can do to get an edge over others per se. If I have to, specifically focus on that part. But then yes, there are definitely certain pointers. Be on time. Deadlines are sacrosanct. And very important that there will be certain things that will be assigned to you, right? There will be a certain part of work that will be assigned to you. Be very sincere about it. Okay, the sincerity aspect of it is something that really holds value when you're going for summer internships. Because if you're diligent in completing your work, you're meeting the timelines right, you're able to give your inputs at the right time, then things look as if you are proactive from your end. So MBA is all about how proactive you are, how what kind of activeness do you show within the campus when you're on your job, when you're in your when you're doing your summer internships, or even when you're doing a port visit, or like in case of Aparna, you're in your student exchange program. If you're not proactive, you're not active around things, what are happening around you, you'll definitely miss out. One major important part is that while you're learning, learn to ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. Do not hesitate. It's better rather to like I call it fail fast, right? So it's better to fail early and then work on it, and then you have that time, you have that cushion that okay, even if you have failed initially, you can work on it and you can probably come up with a better outcome down the line. So then that gives you that edge. If you're talking about an edge with respect to your chances coming, you can absolutely do nothing to get an edge over others because they will be assigned a different project, a different manager, or a different team altogether. So it's not that if say a certain company, like in my case it was Shell, right? So Shell usually gives out I'm not sure if I should be revealing this, but then okay, no harm's done. It usually gives out 100% PPO record for quite some time, at least prior to our year. But then things change during our year. So you can be in for a very rude awakening. Don't take things for granted. It's very important that you utilize the entire opportunity at hand. Think around how you can develop yourself. How can you use your learnings from the campus, from your professors, from your subjects into your project? That will actually help you. And it's not that difficult to get a PPO, to be very honest. It's just that you need to be very sincere with your efforts. Obviously, a few mistakes might happen here and there, but then even if you're not getting a PPO, it's not the end of the world, right? You're here at IIFT, it's a tier 1 institute. You have some crazy good teachers around to help you. You have some awesome seniors who are always there to be your guiding light in times of peril. You'll have your awesome batchmates who will definitely help you. So that feeling of animosity will not be there, that you want to get an edge over your batchmates or someone like that. People will cooperate, and MBA is all about collaboration at the end.
Right, Aparna, I have one last question for the session for you. What do you have any tips for people who are not who are probably scared of public speaking or gets nervous, or they're basically, not talkers. Okay. How do they handle the personal interview? How do they handle all these other rounds that are there? Once, you crack the the test, then after that, all these rounds, do you have any tips for them to prepare themselves? Because this is not something that you can prepare yourself in one day. So yeah.
Exactly. So public speaking, fear of public speaking is a huge thing. So first thing that I want to tell the person is you are not alone. So you are not the only person who would be scared of public speaking or who would be scared of people who would eat you up during GDPIs. So one thing that I want them to know is during a GD process at least, the people who are judging you are not looking for people who are eating other people up during the interview process. They are not looking for people who are interrupting, who are raising their voice, who are being too loud, that they are suppressing the other people out there. As long as you have valid points, it is upon you in order to find strategic points where you can insert your points. Because, well, at the end of the day, if you are too scared and if you do not put points across, then it is again your loss. So, what I would say is to do not get it's a delusion to believe that people who are extremely loud are the only people who would excel in GDs. It is actually people who are matlab, can observe well enough in order to identify where exactly you can put yourself in. And then even if you speak slow, it doesn't really matter as long as the panelist listens to you and as long as the panelist knows that you are a good team player and as long as they know that you're listening to other people, you're actually putting in valuable points. I think that is what matters more than actually being the loud person, being the more overconfident person who suppresses numbers.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks. And thank you, all of you, all the attendees, and thank you so much. My special thanks to all the panelists. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Divyansh. Thank you, Ayush. Thank you, Bhumika. Thank you so much for your insights on IIFT. Thank you.